Alright, lads, another year has flown by and it is once again birthday May. As the name suggests, May is my birthday month and the 8th of May is my birthday day. And every year I like to take this month out to work on something that I personally feel like working on or just enjoying about art at that time. So that's what we're doing today. And this year I want to work on some basic portrait skills, going back to the very fundamentals. But this month also happens to coincide with another one of my very favorite things, which is the release of Bridgerton Season 3. If there's one thing you need to know about me, I love a period drama. So this month I want to practice some basic portrait skills using the characters of Bridgerton as reference. So we're going to chill out this month, do some amazing fan art together, and hopefully by the end of it, we'll all come away with much better portrait painting skills. And to kick things off, we're going to start with a skill that I've avoided for pretty much my entire art career, and that is caricature. Now, I avoid caricature because it is so much work to exaggerate things beyond just stylization or realism, and I'm not a funny artist. I feel like there is an element of humor to caricature, and there's artists out there who can do it really well. I'm not one of them. Then again, caricature does open the door for stylization of the face and the body. So today we'll dive into a couple of different characters, take a look at exaggerating certain features and minimizing others in order to fit their characters and storylines. And hopefully by the end of this, we'll have 4 separate faces that look quite like the original characters, but also exaggerated. And hopefully by the end of this, you end up learning a bunch of things like I did. But if you're excited about Birthday May and if you enjoyed this video and learned something today, please do remember to like and comment below, subscribe to my channel, and make sure you have the notifications turned on so you don't miss the rest of Birthday May. And without much further ado, let's dive into Bridgerton Month, episode 1. So when I was prepping for this exercise, I looked up some tutorials on how to caricature, and I found this series by Court Jones on the Proco channel. Court actually said something really powerful about caricature that had never even occurred to me. He said that caricature is about exaggeration, but it's not randomly exaggerating bits of a face to make it look weird and unnatural. The whole point of caricature is to look at a face and try to exaggerate and minimize features so that your drawing of a person looks more like them than they themselves do in real life. So with that in mind, let's do 4 separate caricatures today of 4 very different characters and see how we may exaggerate them to try and enhance their stories. Let's start with the protagonist of season 1, Daphne. Daphne, as a character, is the innocent damsel type. She's very naive to the ways of society and such, and so for her caricature, we're gonna try and enhance that effect to see if we can exaggerate her naivete. For each caricature today, I'm going to start with 3 or 4 early sketch variations, focusing on slightly different aspects of the face, and then pick one that works best before I get to rendering. So for the first sketch, I wanted it to be all about the big round eyes, a narrow jaw, and a soft chin. It's your classic pretty stylization, but obviously way more exaggerated. With the second variation, I tried to focus more on the roundness of her face, broadening the jaw out a little to see if we could make her face look even more childlike. I didn't much like this variation. For the third one, I thought to exaggerate her bone structure to see if we could get anything fun out of it, and while it was a cool take on her face, it didn't much work for her character specifically. Bear in mind, each of these early sketches has only taken about a minute and a half. In the end, I decided to stick to that first sketch because I really think it maintains a bit of a likeness while also exaggerating the right features. Next, I lowered the opacity and got to work on a cleaner sketch, trying now to shape match the original while maintaining the size and placement exaggerations. I also really wanted to elongate and narrow her neck, make it all graceful and swan-like. I feel like that really works very well for her character in the show. Next, it's time to render. I imported my save of the Zorn palette from a video a couple weeks ago. I'll link it up here if you want to check it out, but this gives us a good start for blocking in the skin tones. With the rendering, I pretty much just stuck exactly to the reference, trying to match the lighting and colors in the reference. I didn't really try to make everything too realistic, especially with the hair and jewelry, since that is not the goal here. What I did enhance, however, were the planes of her face that really stood out in the light. So the little triangles at the tops of her cheekbones that make her eyes look more almond-shaped than just round, the tip of her nose that makes it all cute and button-like, and of course the strong collarbones. So after about 20 minutes of painting, here is our first caricature. This is Daphne. Next, let's talk about Anthony, and this is where things start to get fun, because his character is a lot more complex. Not only is Anthony an eligible bachelor, so, well, he used to be, he also carries an enormous sense of duty and responsibility, and yet there is still that youthful tenderness in there that hasn't yet left him completely, no matter how much he thinks he has grown. So with the initial sketches, I really wanted to enhance the length of his face, kind of like a literal long face from all the burdens that he has to carry. And I also wanted to make his chin pointy to enhance a bit of that triangular shape. That was to kind of try and incorporate his sometimes flippant nature. I minimized his eyes to make sure they didn't take away too much from the overall facial structure, and I really liked the fourth sketch in the end. I especially wanted to make his hair and ears comically large to kind of make him look almost like a child, like he thinks he's grown, but he's still very naive. Next, it was again time to make a cleaner sketch on top. The thing about Jonathan Bailey, the actor who plays Anthony, is that his features aren't quite as sharp or elf-like outside of the show. So I definitely wanted to enhance just how pointy everything was when it came to this caricature, because clearly that is a deliberate thing that the show has done. This one was fun to render because there was a bit of a nice dramatic rim light hitting the top of his head. But again, the rendering wasn't the biggest priority. I did want him swimming in his clothes a little bit, like I oversized that collar and such to really push the idea that he has way too much on his shoulders. I'm gonna let you guys in on a secret. This was my favorite one of the caricatures that I did this week. Not that the others weren't good, but this one just really hit every single thing I wanted it to hit with Anthony's character. So here's our second caricature for today. So at this point, I thought, hey, we might as well also do the two love interests in the first two seasons. So let's now talk about Kate. Kate is a feisty, impatient, and almost perpetually scowling character. Her primary goal is to ensure the happiness of her sister, and in her eyes, nothing is ever good enough for a tweener. So I wanted her character to appear stubborn, scowling, and just very judgmental. But then deep down, there is that gentle, kind young woman who only really wants everyone to be settled so she can take herself out of the equation and not burden them. Now, nothing says stubborn like a strong, square jaw, so I based my first sketch around enhancing that shape, placing all the features far away enough from each other that the face as a whole looks really flat. I feel like her high braids further enhance the squareness of it all. I love a good square. For the second version, I thought of maybe enhancing the cheekbone some more, because I also love a good cheekbone. But that one ended up feeling a little too close to Kate's actual face, and also somehow made her look older than she really is. For the final sketch, I kind of redid the first one, but this time really pushing the size of the eyes and the nose, and boom, there she is. That's Kate. With the clean sketch, I kind of arched the eyebrows more than they appear to be in the original reference, just because I wanted there to be a little more exaggeration of that scowl. I also softened her hair out a little, bringing back some of that tenderness to the facial structure. I started by rendering her hair and coat just because I wanted to keep them fairly realistic, but not too well rendered or anything. With her face, however, the one thing I wanted to enhance was that triangle of high points. If you squint at the reference, you see an inverted triangle of lighter tones going from her forehead down to the cheekbones and ending in a point at the chin. I really love this triangle because it adds a lot of movement to what is otherwise the most stagnant of shapes, the square. I think it really enhances just how feisty and playful Kate is despite being stubborn as a bull. I arched her eyebrows even more to really push that downward triangle, and now she looks downright angry. Perfect. Our final character for today is Simon, the Duke. This is Daphne's love interest, and this was the trickiest of the lot because I feel like he's a very low-key character. He's very quiet and keeps to himself, but he's also very smart and strategic. He's essentially your tall, dark, commitment-phobe type of love interest, and I couldn't quite figure out how to exaggerate his face to show these things without just making a standard hot guy stylization. In the end, I decided to go with a long, broody face with quite a square jaw, because just like with Kate, Simon is also a very stubborn character. I also really enhanced the squareness of the line of his beard as well as the hairline. In the clean sketch, I really wanted to push that raised eyebrow because Simon is also a character who thinks that most societal norms are pretty absurd. Plus, we love a strong eyebrow, so of course that had to be enhanced. I do feel like Simon's sketch really did look like a good resemblance, so it was time to render. It's funny, up until the block-in, I never realized just how much he looked like a high school teacher. Like, I feel like this is the kind of teacher that lets you have a moderate amount of fun in class, but won't tolerate you turning your homework in late. Anyone else get that vibe from him? The render as a whole was pretty standard. I did have to make that repetitive pattern for his waistcoat, but that was about as complicated as it got. I didn't want to sharpen his features too much or up the contrast too much because I really like that soft, dreamy lighting that we have going on. So with that, here is our final caricature for today. All in all, I really enjoyed super exaggerating the faces and using that as a storytelling tool. As someone who tends to take her art way too seriously, this was a massively refreshing change and has truly taught me to push the bounds of portrait painting a lot more than I usually do. What do you guys think? Oh, that was way harder than I anticipated, but it was a massive learning experience. Did you guys think this was fun and did you take a lot away from this video? Comment below and let me know. And of course, if you enjoyed it, then please do remember to like and subscribe. Make sure you have your notifications turned on so you don't miss the rest of this month's videos. Come say hello on Instagram and Discord, and if you'd like to grab even more exclusive content such as my extended brush kit, all of the speed paint from start to finish, as well as now I'm offering print every couple of months, you can check it all out on my Patreon. Your support goes a very long way in helping me continue making these videos, so I'll leave a link up here in the cards, and thank you so much for checking it out. And that's about everything for this video, so thank you guys so much for hanging out with me. I really hope you've enjoyed it as much as I have. If you're looking for a tutorial on how you can stylize another very important feature of portraits, the hair, you can check out this video from a while ago. It is super helpful and you will enjoy it, I promise. So check that out down here, and I'll see you guys on the next one. Bye!